Hi, my name is Zachary Anderlet, and I just wanted to go over uh, my project and kind of how I've been going on it, and maybe what's changed a little. Um, Basically, this app folder this is basically the dashboard, and this generates parts of your application that go into this app folder. And so when you go to generate, you would generate the config, server, database, everything else. And that's what basically creates your app. CMD is just basically command line stuff, which isn't totally needed. It's just a way to test out things really quickly before I have the buttons kind of laid out. Config is just what gets generated as the config. DB is database, basically. Internal is basically your services folder, kind of. Just different folders and files for different parts of how this dashboard works. DB SQL is for the MySQLite, and basically it just has functions and everything to, basically create the database or whatever. So yeah. So data creation is exactly that. It creates data. So you save table, save JSLib, delete table. You basically get the idea there. Under the DB SQL folder, under the generate is all the generate services. Generate the config. Basically creates this config file and all the values inside of it. Let me make this a bit bigger. Let me make this smaller. Anyways, so generate server generates the server. Basically how it kind of works is it creates the connection for a database, executes create table. So basically this table is something, or this function is basically for adding the lib table to the program. So it's something that sort of executes initially in case you didn't have the table. Like if you never ran the program before, you can just do generate and then run the program and it'll create all the tables. It also has functions for generating the server. I think I went over this in a different video. It makes all the folders and everything like that. Templates is basically what the generate functions use in order to generate those files. So like the body, the footer. So if you go into the app and you go to templates and you go to footer, oh, maybe I didn't hit the generate with the footer, but this basically is the stuff that you need for it. And so this would create your app basically, in a sense. And this is where like libraries and stuff would get generated. I guess I'm not using the footer file. I'm just using, this is define footer and then it has the end of it. So I don't think I'm actually using this file. I think I just defined it here inside the header file. But I think that's because in home I may have it if you need to add stuff or not. I don't know. So then the template is basically all those type of files that is code to be generated basically. Internal just basically means that it changes a lot, and so I wouldn't necessarily want people who download this to expect this not to change. I mean, it's obviously going to change a lot, but that's the service folder that when I add something, it actually is what it runs. Package is basically your utility function, so your services a lot of times will use functions or files from the package utility, and it's just the big files of functions that I built over time that are used to write files, replace text, copy text, whatever it is. Same thing with the handler, because the main access point to the program is source, dashboard, handler, get, and then home. And this basically is the main part of the application. This is what runs and says if you do observe, then run these certain functions. And it's just a big switch statement, as you can see. And that runs specific things. Down here is basically where all the data gets loaded, so when you switch between this stuff, it has everything. So like with the database, to show the tables, and when you do the editor, it needs to load all that data. AppDB, show database, this is the actual data for the tables that are inside the app. This is the dashboard database, this is the apps database. And so these functions basically load it all up. So that when you do this, or let's say you want to add a certain library, this is what loads it. And basically this dashboard is just something that would run around your app. You'd still be able to run the app without it. So yeah, so that's basically the main entry point of the application. The rest of these folders, I'm still adding stuff to this. Add table to app, so when you hit a function to add table to app, it'll add the table to the apps database. I'm still kind of working on getting it exactly. As you can tell, it didn't generate the struct and everything, so I still gotta do that. It did work at one point in time, but when I moved all the folders and everything, it sort of broke apart. So that's something I'm still working on right now. So yeah, that's the dashboard, handler, get, put. Put is basically all the ones that post stuff. For adding library, basically this stuff. Add your third-party library. Well, it's gonna post it, but when you add it in here and you hit submit, it posts it. So that's all these, basically create or add. Routes, exactly what you think. Basically this M is the get, home. So the M is the switch statement for these, so this is M basically. And that's what allows me to do the switch statement and then add parameters after that. So remove table, add lib, basically what makes these kind of be able to grab data and add it to where I want it to be added. I added this just lately, basically because I was trying to show the data from the apps database through the dashboard. So I believe it's this one. Yeah, users. This I need to get rid of because this is just something when you call the function to grab all the data from the tables. This is something that basically spits out the tables as is, sequence 3, 4, but then it just puts it in the middle. I don't know exactly why it puts it between the two tables, but it does. So yeah, right now since I got it to where you can update this stuff. So if I did that and I did that, let me do table, that. Oh, there it is. So you can update the tables. I don't think you can update the sequence table though, but I just gotta get rid of it. Anyways, so yeah, you can update the table inside the app just on the dashboard, and then you could add tables to the dashboard itself. I still need to get this connected so that it does add it to here. I don't know if, well, I guess this is useful. It just doesn't have the form to edit it. I don't know. So that's that with that. Route, the server, which is just regular old server code for the middleware and all that. And I had went over how to add the funcs to the templates. Although I think I still need, oh no, I did add it. Remove brackets and index count. That was to form this data, and I did have to add a library. Yeah, Sprig. Why did I have to add the library Sprig? Let me just see here. Mainly because when I wanted to arrange this data, the problem is any of these tables can be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 columns long, and you need to be able to show the rows, right? And being able to do that through a template and just doing it through functions, you can do it. I mean, obviously you can, but I just felt like, you know, trying to do it manually, guessing how many columns and rows a table would have while whipping through them all, was just, I was eating up my time like none other. I think this is it. As you can tell, I had to get the length. A chunk basically is from Sprig, and I think that was from list. Chunk. And this was the part that was hard for me, because this right here, you setting the length of the chunk of the DB fields so that you can have generically how many columns, and so I basically had to do it by the length of the columns, set the chunk, range through it, and then range through that list, and then spit out that data, and that's what basically spit this out. So no matter how many columns are, it'll kind of know to set each column with rows. That took me a little bit to figure out, and this Sprig right here, this function right here, and I think that's the only one I'm using, and that was really nice. It was extremely nice. Obviously you can kind of think of something on your own to split up stuff, but man, I don't have to have a bunch of crazy functions and all this stuff in order to just have one call chunk and then the number. I mean, basically it's just this, and that's all the code for it to guess and know how many columns based upon getting the data and then spitting it all out, and it could be generically anything. And this also turns into an interface. So the interface type, so it kind of doesn't matter what kind of data it is, which is also nice. So that if it's a number, string, whatever, I don't really have to worry about that. I have to write a bunch of code to check for all this stuff. So yeah, it's a nice function. That's a really nice function to have on the Go front end sort of deal. May not seem like much to other people, but being able to split up an array by some generic number or length and then ranging through it the way you want to range through it without having a whole bunch of code, that's nice. This is really readable and easy, and I didn't have to, well, I spent a lot of time trying to do my own solution, but it was hard to wrap my head around generically guessing columns and then having it be patterned in the rows. And I mean, I suppose the one thing I was missing when I was doing it was these two ranges and then doing the length. And I suppose I can just do a function to take the length and then just split up the slices based off of that. Generic number that chunks up a list or slices. Yeah, if you had a function that splits, does a split, and then you add that number to the split, how many indexes. Yeah, you actually could easily do that. Whatever. I didn't think of it in those terms until I saw this function, and it made a lot of sense in my head. Whatever. So yeah, that was something I had been working on and done, and I just need to tie them together, one that goes to the other, basically. Yeah, that's basically what I've been working on. That's basically the folder structure of everything. Yeah, it just, I know it doesn't seem like I added much. I've been kind of going through things and was sick and everything, but then my family was sick, but then this part, trying to manually do it in my head without having a vision of what it is I'm actually trying to accomplish. Like, I knew I had to create the columns, but that chunk thing didn't come to me. It didn't until I saw that sprig, and then I was like, oh man. So suppose I could just get rid of dependency and just set up my own erase or slice chunk thing, but you know, it also has a lot of nice functions to it, and it's not in the way, it's just something you spit onto the front end through the HTML. So I think it will be nice. You could think of things to use with this, which is extra nice. Instead of being like, well, I don't know if I want to do that because it'll take me a while to come up with my own solution and stuff. Well, you could just look at these and go, well, actually, what I could do, you know, without a certain list item, you can then have this, you know, you could maybe have a search of tables that only have certain arrays. That might be really nice and easy to use then with this unique. You can do a lot of stuff with that, and you don't have to like code much. It's nice. So yeah, that's basically, and then I also want to go over, and I keep forgetting to do this, why I set things up this way. And I just wanted to say that with Go, the language never changes, and so because the language never changes, I can generate the code, and so you get two things out of that that are really nice. The language that you use to generate the code never changes, the code that you generate with that language that never changes if you're generating Go, obviously. And so with that, whatever you generate or use will forever just not have to be upkept. When you change a lot of stuff, obviously you're going to run into maybe some problems when you move a whole bunch of folders around or something, but nothing gets pulled out under the rug from under you ever, so you just don't have to worry about that. So the engineering maintenance is just gone. I also, the point of this project was so I didn't have to use npm and all that. If some people like Vue and all that, that's fine. I don't mind. I just felt like when you're generating code or whatever, sure, you could use some functions on the JavaScript then. They'd probably split this up really easily, and you wouldn't have to have half the code and whatever. But my thing is, then there's like a whole bunch of extra steps, and if I want to generate this somehow, then it becomes really hard to. I mean, I suppose maybe you could put in some bash commands into your Go and then have that run the npm, and I don't know. But then the npm changes, the Vue changes, all this stuff changes, and so I just want something that never changes, so that I could just month after month just add to it slowly and just not have to worry about maintenance unless I rearrange every little thing again. And another thing that I had been using, which is really nice, is the MySQL Lite, and that's nice because you could put this all into a binary and just not have to worry about it, which is really nice. The binary is right here, and so it brings along all this stuff. Although I don't think I did that to the template files. I don't think I FS'd them. I probably should do that. It's not that hard, and I even made a video on how to do it. Anyway, soon enough. And then I eventually my sort of plans are, I want to work in their JWT, which I already did before, and it wouldn't be that hard. And then I want to work in there maybe some auth. I don't know what I'll use for that, but and then maybe the database. What's that called? Distributed, not regeneration, but basically something that allows you to have multiple databases that have one that's the master or main, and if one goes down, they all can kind of take care of themselves. So that's something that I know some packages that do it, and I don't think that'd be incredibly hard to do. But I think it'd definitely be something that I would probably put in a config, something you could turn on and off, because I don't know if everybody would want that. Yeah, that's basically why I have what I have, what I've done so far, what I plan on doing, and what I've been up to. Alright, yeah, if you have any questions, please let me know. Alright, thank you.